welcome to this week's show. My name's Nick DeLaurie, and you're in the ring. Today, we have a very good friend of mine, very special guest, Lou Codella. Lou, welcome to the show. Thanks for coming on. It's great to have you.
It's good to be here.
And Lou, there's, so much to talk about. You've been in amateur boxing for many years. I think it's 27 years as an amateur boxing referee. And tell us, there was an article recently in the paper about yourself last week, and there was actually another article about a young man that you work with.
Yes.
And you mentor.
Yes, the article was, it talked about me as a referee and my involvement in boxing, how I got involved in boxing, and also working with youth. So to me, boxing is, is a way to reach youth. As the article mentioned, I was in a lot of trouble when I was a youth. So I feel that I'm able to give back, and I feel that boxing is a good avenue to reach youth, get them off the streets. They can prove themselves in the ring rather than the streets. That recent article about Ronell McFadden, he's a boy from Children's Village who is now 21, and he's on his own. And it was part of a series that the Journal News did in February on Black History Month, and there was, I believe they, each day you selected a different young black man and did a story on him, and Ronell was, one of the young black men that they chose, and they actually featured his story as the last story in the series. So he was like the main event, so to speak, and he also featured a story on the front page. And he's a young man that's very proud of it. Has done extremely well. He pretty much grew up in Children's Village. He spent since he was very young, he was in Children's Village. So he had a lot to overcome, because when you spend that much time in agencies like that, you become institutionalized. So for him to go from the agency to being on his own, because he's 21 now, as I mentioned, there was a lot of challenges, and he is doing very well. He has a job, a full-time job. He's working for the Department of Public Works in Hastings. He has his own apartment. He's actually working 2 jobs. He works part-time at Stop and Shop. And this was a young man that came to me when he was about 15, 16. Just said that he wanted to box. So I'm a volunteer at Children's Village. I've been a volunteer at Children's Village for 30. It'll be 30 years in May. So he had come to me and just said that he wanted to box. One of the staff had directed him to me, and I've gotten a number of kids over the years, coming to me, wanting to box, but very few of them you really want to make that commitment. And Ronell made that commitment, and I got him involved with the Yonkers PAL. I brought him down to Yonkers PAL. I would work with him regarding his conditioning training, but as far as his actual instructions, I brought him to Yonkers PAL, to Sal Carenti, and Sal worked with him, and he actually wasn't able to stay at the Yonkers PAL because he was there about a year under Sal. He was doing very well. Then the board at Yonkers PAL had changed their policy, or had implemented a policy that they would only allow Yonkers residents, youth from Yonkers, to participate in their programs, because they felt that they really needed to reach their community, focus on their community. So I brought him to another gym. We worked with Steve Bratter, and he did well in the Steve. Steve really liked him. Sal liked him. Wherever he went, he was a very likable young man. So under Steve, he was able to participate in the Golden Gloves, and he went into the 170 It's 178-pound novice division, and that was a loaded division too. This was in 2005, and he had he really had a lot of competition. He made it to the finals.
Nice.
He lost a close bout, in the finals, and at Madison Square Garden. So we were very proud of him.
Yeah, you must be.
Yeah.
You must be. A lot of our viewers might not know that Children's Village is a residential group home.
Yes, it's a residential treatment center for boys. It's all boys from the age about 8 to 19.
And you've been there as a volunteer for 30 years,
yes,
correct? Mentoring the kids.
Mm-hmm.
And you also are a volunteer chaplain at the Westchester Juvenile Facility?
Yes, the Westchester Juvenile Detention Facility, which is in Valhalla, Woodfield. Yes, so I've been there for 27 years as volunteer chaplain. I go there on Sunday nights to do a Bible study with the residents there. It's a relatively small facility, 26 residents, and these are boys and girls, mainly boys, but they also have a few girls. It was at one time all boys. Recently, about 10 years ago, they expanded the facility to house girls also. It's a holding facility. It's a lockup. It's a jail for juveniles under 16 waiting to go to court. And they're there as JDs, juvenile delinquents. That means they've committed would be considered misdemeanor level crimes, and they go through family court. And then you have JOs, juvenile offenders, who have committed what would be considered felony level crimes, and they go through the criminal court system. So they're there for more serious crimes. But they're kids, and they need they need direction. A lot of these kids, just like the kids from Children's Village, they come from very unstable backgrounds, and they don't have the supervision and out in the streets. But like I said, they're kids, and basically, they want to do the right thing, but they're just so caught up, in the street mentality, and not having good role models. So
well, you're definitely a great role model for these kids, and I've been fortunate enough to work with you as far as the kids from Children's Village, and it's just a really touching thing when you see these kids react to it, and they're so happy to come to the gym and have that positive outlook on things, and and really turn that positivity right into fitness. I think it's really great, and what you're doing is a wonderful thing. There's some other things. You're a twin. You have a twin brother.
Yes.
Did your brother ever do any boxing? Did you guys ever spar at all?
No, he never really got involved. He never really got into boxing, but he did wrestle in high school.
Okay.
And he was a pretty decent wrestler.
So the athleticism's in your blood. It's in your genes, right?
Yeah, I don't know how much, but but it's
That's great. And
we have some. Yeah.
And you mentioned about the church and being involved in the church. You're a Christian.
Yes.
And that's very important, you being a Christian and being involved in boxing. Rocky Marciano, the only undefeated heavyweight champ. The Rock, I believe, was a Christian, a devout Christian. And how do you feel that being a man of the church and your position in the church and boxing, what's the overlap there? Because it seems to be something that priests get into, chaplains, pastors.
Yes.
What do you think is the connection there between God and boxing?
Yeah. Well, first of all, I'm a lay chaplain. I'm not an ordained minister. And, as you know, my full-time job is as an accountant. I'm the accountant for the Westchester County. You're currently working for the Westchester County Police as the accountant for them, the senior accountant. And I also teach boxing to the new recruits at the academy, at the police academy.
Yes, you're a very busy man, Lou. It's impressive.
But something I really enjoy. We just, the new commissioner. Well, he came aboard about 3 years ago. He wanted to implement boxing at the academy, so he asked me, if I could head that up.
That's great.
If I could supervise. I said, yeah, sure. That's great. So as far as um, I gave my heart to the Lord, when I was a young man, and um, um, that's, my motivation. Um, I was always interested, as a teenager, being in a lot of trouble. Once I straightened out, actually, once I got out of high school, is I wasn't a very good student, so um, I was a poor reader, so I was frustrated in school, so I was a big deal on the streets. But once I got out of high school, most of my friends didn't finish high school. I finished high school, and I was grateful for that. Once I went to work full time, I was able to go from a wild teenager to a responsible young man, and a lot of that, number one is the grace of God, but I really attribute, a lot of my transitions, to good parents. My parents, gave me a great foundation. I was truly blessed to have such good parents, Anthony and Gloria Codella, and so I'm very thankful to my parents. So as far as and then at a point after that, shortly after that, I saw my need to really fully put my trust in Jesus, and that's when I gave my heart to Jesus, and so I started working with youth, at the age of 18, and but then when I gave my heart to the Lord, I had even a greater motivation to help youth and help others.
That's great.
And so I see, I don't see a conflict with boxing and my faith, my spirituality, my relationship with the Lord. I see it as like I had mentioned earlier, it's getting guys off the streets and letting them prove themselves in the ring in a sport that's a skilled sport according to a strict set of rules. And it's a very physical sport. It's a very rough sport, but it doesn't have to be a dangerous sport. And if it's properly supervised, it's not. In amateur boxing, the emphasis is on safety. Mm-hmm. And as you know, in my involvement, it's always been with the amateurs.
You keep everything very safe in the ring, mm-hmm. and that's really what makes the sport such a great sport to watch and enjoy. A lot of people seem to think it's a violent sport. They hear boxing and they may think of professional boxers, but they don't realize how safe that you make it, being right there in the ring with those two boxers and making sure that they follow the rules and they don't get hurt.
And the amateurs, like I said, that's we're very strict with the rules on the amateur level.
Exactly.
And that's why I've always my intent's always been to stay with the amateurs.
Well, that's great. A lot of guys they have that opportunity to make money and move on to the pros, and they do, and that's great for them, and their motivation and their goals. But you decided to stick around with the amateurs and stick with the kids. I really think that's a great thing. And I met your dad. He's a very spiritual man, and we've talked, and he's very, very into the Lord, and he's a wonderful person. You're very lucky. So it's just a really amazing thing, what you're trying to do, and that's why I wanted to have you on the show, because it's just something that really touches a lot of people. And we were fortunate enough to have you up at Westchester Boxing Club recently, and you did a rules and refereeing clinic, basically explaining to some young men and women, the rules of the ring. And so tell us about that. Do you do a lot of clinics around? Is that something that it's a calling for?
I try to get out to the gyms as much as I can, as far as particularly the gyms in the area. You're here in Westchester. So what I do, and it's usually around the Golden Glove season. That's usually when I try to get out there, and you do what I did at your gym. Talk to the kids and the coaches. About the rule. Well, first, explain to them the philosophy of amateur boxing, and you'll break down the rules for them. You go over the rules that a lot of the boxers and coaches are aware of, and some that they're not aware of. That emphasize rules that that are put in place for fairness and the protection of the boxers. But there are some rules that you'd be surprised that some of the coaches and a lot of the boxers are not aware of, and the procedures as far as like some misconceptions about an 8 count.
Yeah.
A boxer thinks once he gets an 8 count that he lost a round, and and the 8 count there's no has no bearing on the scoring. It's a tool for the referee to use to to step in and protect the boxer if if the referee feels that the boxer's taking some good some unanswered punches, and he's not defending himself properly. He's hurt. So that's what that's when I as a referee step in and give him an 8 count. And when I'm giving the 8 count, I'm evaluating him to make sure he's okay and he's ready to continue. And if he is, I just give the command to box and allow him to continue. If he's not, then I'll stop the bout. You don't have to give an 8 count to stop the bout. You can stop at any time. But as far as the scoring, it's only the blow. What counts is the blows that preceded that 8 count. The punches that was scored that caused me to step in and give that 8 count. So that's one of the areas that needs clarification to the boxers, because a lot of times boxers feel that they got an 8 count unjustly, and they're feeling it, and they're believing that it affected their score.
There's a lot of women. There's actually a lot of women in boxing now, and it's become very popular.
Yeah.
It's not actually something new. They've been doing it for a while now. How was your feelings on that when you saw women stepping into the ring, and do you ever referee any women's bouts, or do they have women referees specifically now?
Well, usually the females will do the females, but men do the females too. In 1995, amateur boxing was open to females. Prior to that, it was only males. I think boxing's a great sport for females to learn, as far as learn the rudiments of boxing, to do the workout. But as far as competing, I don't like to see females compete.
Yeah,
and I don't like to referee the females because I just have a hard. I actually don't even referee the females because there's not there's not that many of them, and there's always other referees that that will do the females. So it's pretty much where I haven't had to do any of the female bouts, but I feel if I'm going to do a female bout, I would probably be overly protective, and I would probably be stepping in, more than, I think I would be overly protective, because that's just the way I feel about. I just don't like to see females punching on each other, and that's that's my personal feeling.
It's funny because when I first witnessed women coming into the gym, I came from the Cage Boxing Club, which you're aware of. It was a pretty hardcore amateur and professional boxing club here in White Plains.
Yeah.
And when I first saw a girl come into the club, I said to Charlie Caserta, one of my trainers, I said, "Charlie, there's a dame in here." I said, "What's the girls? There's supposed to be no girls allowed up in the gym." We got to let them in, And they started training, and a lot of the trainers really they didn't take the women serious, and they didn't think that they should be in the gym. And I kind of felt that same way at first, and then I saw, the girls were training just as hard as the guys.
Oh,
and,
yeah.
And
they're definitely intense. Yeah,
they're definitely intense.
Yeah.
I actually had the opportunity to train 139-pound champ, Denise Lutrick, and Sharky and I trained her, and we made her a 2-time Golden Glove champ, 2-time national champ, and then I worked with, I started Anne-Marie Saccarato off, who's now a pro boxer, and made her a 2-time Golden Glove and national champ. But at first it was difficult, it's a different world training a woman boxer than it is training, a guy.
Oh yeah, a lot of different dynamics. dynamics. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you feel that it's a great sport for real young kids, 8, 9, 10 years old, as far as just the workout, just the fitness regimen?
Oh yeah. Well, back in the 70s, I used to coach at the Y with Steve Aconto.
Yeah. Steve was on the show a couple weeks ago. He's a really great guy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. So yeah. That's how I started with Steve at the YMCA in the early 70s, but unfortunately, I wasn't able to compete right from the beginning because I had my nose shattered in a street fight when I was a teenager, and the bone is all shattered up here in the bridge area.
Yeah.
Actually, it was very I was almost killed as a result of this. I was fortunate because it could have been a lot worse. But over the years, the nose has fused a lot. But it's still vulnerable. But back then, it was very vulnerable. So when I went to, I had heard about the program that Steve had started at the YMCA, and I was 19 at the time, and somebody had invited me to come down to box. I said, I love to box, but I can't with my nose. Yeah. And so I brought some boys from my neighborhood, and I got them involved. And then I saw that I could spar with the headgear and the nose guard, with the headgear with the nose guard. And back then, Everlast, made the same one that they make now, and it went for $1.25, $125, about the same price.
That's a lot of money
now.
back then.
And back then, that was a lot of money. So what I did is I had a regular headgear, and I took a softball catcher's mask, and I cut out the bottom part of it, flipped it over, gauzed it to the headgear, and paired it to front.
That's clever.
And I used to spar, and I used to spar with a lot of guys in the gym with that. I was able to, I sparred with amateurs and pros, and guys like Frank Lombardi, but I was never able to compete with that. And so I trained for a few years. I trained as if I was boxing competitively. Actually, I used to overtrain, and over the years you learn how to train properly, or balance, get that right balance. But then I eventually got involved just coaching the kids, and so we would have about 40 kids on a Saturday morning, and a lot of them were young. It was teenagers, and there was a lot of 8, 9, 10-year-olds, and to me. That was the safest thing they could do because they're so small and the gloves are so big, and so
it is cute. Actually, Steve's in these posters back here. Steve has a clip of you. I don't have it today, but he has a clip of you training some boys at the Y, and you were leading them doing their road work inside on the track upstairs. And,
because at the Y in White Plains they have a track. I think it's 32 laps for a mile, and it goes above the gym, and it's banked. And so so I used to lead them, and because I used to do a lot with the conditioning with the kids, and we used to have a good time there.
That's great. I can see how much you love it. You just seem to light up when you talk about boxing and the kids and working with them. And it's really a great thing, and I'm glad to to say that we're going to be starting something back up with Children's Village over in Dobbs Ferry. And I think that the young boys over there will really, love getting back into the swing of things with the boxing workworkouts. And I know transportation was sometimes a bit of an issue, but it's really great.
Yeah, so I'm very happy the way it worked out. Like we were saying, it's great all around. It's something you want to do, something I wanted to get the guys involved with, and now, the rec department there. Was on board, and really looking forward to launching this now.
Yeah, it's
I really
great.
Appreciate your willingness to help out and reach out to these kids and bring them into the gym.
Yeah, I try. It's I have a special connection with a lot of the kids from CV. Not necessarily now, not only now, but I grew up in Dobbs Ferry.
Yeah,
and I grew up on Beacon Hill, which is just a short walk through the woods. And Children's Village is right next to Springhurst Elementary School. And we used to go kind of through the woods a little bit, and we used to hang out with the CV kids, and we used to play ball and hang out with them. And I got to know these kids, a lot of them, and you know they're obviously relate to what they went through, and you know it's just it's nice to try to be able to help those kids, and then the outcome is just a beautiful thing, you know, like this young man that you were mentioning before, you know,
I know.
that you know he you know overcame all the odds, and you know he's a responsible, respectful you know member of the community, and it's really great to see that your work is doing that. It's really helping. A lot of people don't realize how important that is, that these kids, you know, aren't just you know at the age of, I guess it's 21, just left to just go out there into the world and not have, you know, that positive mental attitude.
Yeah.
So it's really great, and I hope to maybe have you and this young man on the show one day, and really be great.
Yeah, it'd be great.
You know, I think he's a big inspiration, and I think he'll be able to help a lot of other kids.
Oh yeah.
So I think that's real important. And I just wanted to say, you know, thank you everybody for tuning in to In the Ring this week, and our guest Lou Codella. If you ever have any questions for Lou, you can always stop by Westchester Boxing Club and leave a little message for him. We'll try to let you know about any upcoming events or clinics that we're having. And if you are involved, staff at a residential facility somewhere in the Westchester area, if you ever want to contact the gym, Westchester Boxing Club, at 914-328-1773 to work on bringing some kids to the club so we can help mentor them, and so Lou can, you know, explain, you know, the rules of a wonderful sport, not necessarily for them to compete, but just to train. You know, I think that would be a really great thing. So if anybody out there, you know, wants to stop by and just, you know, meet Lou next time we have a boxing clinic and rules clinic on boxing, that would be really great. I'm sure, you know, everybody would love that. And Lou, thank you very much for coming to the show.
Pleasure.
And thank you for tuning in to In the Ring. I'm your host, Nick DeLaury, and keep on punching.